Just cut right to the damn stream. What's up, everybody? Yeah, I'm having technical issues, man. I set up a different stream and then plugged in the actual stream key to my streaming software here, and then it was showing it like activated a stream from last fucking week. Oh, thank you, YouTube, for being so wonderful to me. We got chat up. Looks like we do. Morning, everybody. Hope you're great. Hope you're doing well. Hope you slept well last night. Look, before we start, I got the deal of a lifetime for you folks, you Nootropics folks, and this is because I've got the tap on the shoulder that I've got to move about 300 bottles of Cortex, okay? So that's our primary nootropic stack. Been around for, God, I'm going to say like 10 years or so. Very, very popular, very, very used and tested in the market. It's buy one, get one free right now, boys, okay? So my loss is your gain right now on the Cortex stack. You enter that code cortexbogo at checkout after you add a bottle to your cart, and it will tack on an extra bottle literally for free, right? Look at that stack. High potency, focus, and flow. I mean, this is a focus-inducing, energy-inducing stimulant nootropic. Everybody wants a good stimulant, right? And not everybody has a good go-to stimulant. This is what I made this stack for, all right? Fast onsetting stimulant. Having this stuff around is a game changer for productivity, all right? So right now, my loss is your gain. Buy one, get one free. That's the code. All right, I'll leave it on the screen. It's also in the description. Have at it. All right, boys, guess we'll get right into questions here. So first, though, I wanted to quickly talk about my experience so far with TB-500. So this is a peptide that is a derivative of a synthetic analog, basically, of thymosin beta-4. Thymosin beta-4 has a lot of different mechanisms. You release it in your body in response to endothelial stress or an attempt to repair blood vessels. How it works as a peptide, once injected, typically subcutaneously, is it attempts to, number one, improve blood vessel function or repair blood vessels, which is pretty good. I mean, I think that especially in terms of erectile quality, right, if it can go that far, that would be a good thing for you to execute. Importantly, though, it fosters the repair of tissue and it fosters wound healing. Now, this is something really crazy because I actually did have a wound on it that otherwise wouldn't have healed as fast that did heal. We'll just call it a wound. Won't say where, but it was an odd thing, just sort of an accident that happened, and I was like, oh, this is a pain in my ass. And it actually healed quicker. Other than that, it is profoundly immunogenic, so it does stimulate the immune system in a positive way. Some of the research suggests that it's lowering some of these, well-known inflammatory markers and cytokines like TNF-alpha, among others. But I can tell you, let me put it this way. I know when I take stuff that provokes the immune system, and for better or for worse, I think ultimately it's a good thing, but certainly I got an immunogenic response from TB-500. Nothing terrible, but I can tell that it's working on that system. Otherwise, what I find pretty interesting is that I'm recovering a little bit better. Just I noticed at the gym, right? So I'm doing chest and legs one day, just chest mostly, but then like a couple sets of legs. I'll notice in between sets of legs where I'm doing squats that I don't have to rest as long, Toward the end of my workout, I'm resting a lot longer so that I can push the duration of the workout further. If I'm just too quick in between sets to go back onto the set, then I just fucking tire myself out easier. Whereas, if I take a break, it's a lot better. But with TB-500 in the mix, I'm finding that I'm able to lessen the amount of rest time between the latter sets when I'm doing 2 muscle groups in a day, which I found pretty fucking interesting. So I'm running 1 milligram a week of this right now. All right, I'm just injecting it subcutaneously. This is a 5 milligram vial. I think I reconstituted with 2 milliliters of backwater. I'm splitting the milligram a week into 500 microgram injections. So I'm running this twice a week. Okay. 500 micrograms on a Monday, say, and then 500 micrograms on like a Thursday. I've been on it for 2.5 weeks or so far, TB-500. I like it. I don't have any negative acute benefits. I may even actually notice some better erection quality, which I'm going to have to break down and get into and determine, is this placebo? Is it not? Is this something that's applicable to other people? Because it is repairing blood vessels and stimulating angiogenesis. So there might be something to it. At any rate, a lot of people have been asking me to get on, discussing peptides. And so here we are. I am 2.5 weeks into TB-500. Sorry guys, 500. That's the topic at the moment. And I love it. I've got some ipamorelin coming in. So that's a growth hormone secretagogue, basically. So I'll be fussing with that. I've got a relatively low testo. So, anabolism isn't all that great, but lower dose keeps the estradiol problems away and keeps the sexual function really great on a long ester, that is. But guess what? I've also got some Anavar coming in, all right? That's oxandrolone, very, very well-studied, pretty potently anabolic, somewhat androgenic steroid, DHT derivative. That'll be here Monday. So I've got to figure out how I'm going to work that into the protocol, whether I'm going to work that into the protocol. I've really got to dial that in and make it bulletproof. But when I, either run the ipamorelin or the Anavar, I will fucking keep you guys posted and do big breakdowns on it. Interestingly, my clinic prescribes Anavar. So, they, after a conversation, I got them to prescribe me some Anavar, and I think I'm going to be running 23 and a half milligrams a day is what they have over there. So we'll see. Maybe I'll split it in half and start low. I don't know. But tell you what, if it fucks with sexual functionality capacity via binding to SHBG or doing anything, then I probably won't continue it. But I guess we'll see. All right, let's get to questions. Simon is asking about libido. So TRT 50 milligrams every fourth day. It's not a bad protocol. When adding HCG, feeling not good. What should I do to improve? So when you add HCG, you don't feel good? You mean you physically have negatives? Is that what you're saying? You have some sort of negative side effect when you add HCG? Look, I mean, what is your estradiol like? That's just the bottom line on every one of these situations that people have to look at. If it's elevated past 30 or something, or if, God forbid, it's pushing 45, 50, and you don't particularly respond well to estradiol at those levels, and you're going to have problems. I personally do not respond well to estradiol above 35. And I'll tell you what, man, I'll just be super frank. My dick and my libido loves 15 to 25 picograms per milliliter. Loves it. Below that, I start feeling subpar, and have joint pain and all that. But 15, 18, 20, I feel like $1,000,000. And I'm insatiably horny and things really function well. So you got to look at what that number is, brother. And sometimes a little bit of HCG will further stimulate that. I'm an advocate of dosing HCG in large quantities at once, just because you get more bang for your buck and you get more serum HCG per injection versus micro-injecting. But it's an estrogenic compound, right? It does force aromatization intratesticularly on top of the aromatization you're already getting with your testosterone dose. And so that's where it becomes problematic. In that regard, you'd probably be able to get away with 125 IU a day. Okay. We'll still keep serum HCG levels steady, not very high, but steady enough to give you enough of that testicular function to, enhance neurosteroidal activity in the brain. And some 5-alpha reduction of your test to DHT via HCG stimulating the 5-alpha reductase enzymes in the testicles. So, by the way, guys, is my audio okay? I just made some changes on my mic. If audio is shitty, please, post that in the chat. If it's good, post that in the chat too. That would be really great. But yeah, you got to watch that estradiol, man. I mean, that's just the bottom line. I think 50 milligrams every fourth day is a pretty good dose, but I'll tell you what, I have clients that we got to take them down to 85 milligrams a week, right? Nothing else works. I mean, sure, Proviron will work in addition to their 120, 130, those things will work, but not everyone can get or wants to try Proviron, and, could come with some hair shedding and things of this nature, maybe a little extra acne. And so I've got to take guys down to 85 milligrams a week. The moment they get below 90 milligrams a week, well, then the erections start coming back. Libido is great. They feel fucking great. Less anabolic. So maybe run some growth hormone peptides if you really want to be anabolic. But, that's kind of, one of the things, that's the routes I would think if I were you to take. Fantastic list. What's up, brother? Feeling great on 900 milligrams. St. John's Wort. What'd you stack it with? Nothing, bro. You don't want to mess something good up is what I would say. If you feel really good on it, don't fuss with it. I'm not particularly into SJW as I was back in the day. It gave me some sexual benefits, interestingly, early on when I had very low testosterone. Thereafter, it was just diminishing returns. And so I'll tell you what, I mean, it is a mild serotonin reuptake inhibitor, so it will put you in a better mood. It kind of should for certain individuals. Other than that, yeah, I wouldn't really stack much with it. I think if you're taking it and you're feeling pretty good, keep it the way that it is. We as biohackers have the tendency to want to add things to our protocol, and sometimes that fucks things up. Man. I just had a client add creatine to his protocol. He's on TRT, doing great. We finally dialed him in on sexual function on TRT, adds creatine and loses libido and erections in a fucking day. Continued taking it and it got worse. Removed the creatine. 6 days later, he's back. Don't know why, you know, maybe some serotonergic receptor activation. I think it's the 1A postsynaptic receptor that might be fucking with dopamine in this particular case. But it's like sometimes if you have a good thing, you don't want to mess with it. Jammer. Wife was on 9-MeBC for 30 days, 30 milligrams, started getting headaches after 10 days, backed up to 20 milligrams for 20 days. Thoughts? Yeah, blood pressure probably rose. Yeah, I mean, you're messing with dopaminergics and that tends to change or can change blood pressure. So I would get a home blood pressure cuff. And then if you really want to be bulletproof about it, back that up with like a CVS or Walgreens blood pressure cuff that they have there so that you can see. Because, I mean, you know, one of the major facilitators or causes of like headaches is high blood pressure. I mean, that's just one of the symptoms that you get. You know, if you go uber super physiologic on testosterone for a long time, you're probably going to start to get headaches and feel lethargic. And that's could be hematocrit, but it's also high blood pressure. So that's really what I would suggest. But if it is, I mean, it's not like she can run Cialis. She's a woman. I think to get to the bottom of it, run some blood pressure tests while it's happening and see if that changes it. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, she might need to be at 10 milligrams a day. You know, she's a woman, her body's different. That's a very strong chemical, 9-MeBC. So it's not necessarily the case that people need large doses. You know, I get an effect from 10 milligrams. It's not as pronounced as 30 milligrams or 20, which is what I ran. Did I run 20 last time? I forget. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I ran 20. Yeah, 20 milligrams for 20 days or something was my last 9-MeBC. So, you know, 10 is not a bad dose, my friend. Adam Collins, been dieting for 2.5 months. Went well, but down to 1,300 calories with a lot of exercise every day. Weight loss plateauing and can't decrease calories or increase exercise. What next? 25 pounds to go. Yeah, you have to increase your calories for, 2 to 3 days. What you ought to do is have a fucking major cheat meal. Forget about your weight for a second. You're going to reset a bunch of satiety hormones, upregulate metabolic function to a degree. And then you'll start to lose weight again. Yeah, I mean, that's just classically how it works. You can only stay in a deficit for so long until your body goes, I'm holding on to all this. I'm holding on to fat now. You know, it's either I'm going to burn muscle, I'm going to, I got to hold on to this fucking fat. So, give it. If I were you, I would eat whatever the fuck you want. Just go crazy, bro. For 2 days, and you're going to gain a little bit of weight, but then it's going to make it a lot easier to then in the ensuing 2 weeks lose more weight. And 3 weeks later, you'll be in a better position. You plateau when you are constantly in a deficit because your body says, stop putting me in a deficit. So take this opportunity to go pig out on some bad food, and you might feel a little shitty for the first however long, but ultimately you're going to regain your ability to lose weight at that point. Yeah, that happens to me, man. I also start feeling a little suboptimal. If I'm in a deficit for too long, I'm like, I start getting really lean. My fucking jawline just gets super lean. And then I'm like, then I feel subpar after a certain amount of time of doing that, regardless of being on testosterone. And so, that's my cue to go eat like an asshole for a day or two. And I love it. I'm just like, all right, let's go. My favorite place and get a big burger and some fries, or, just eat like shit for a while. But that's what you need to do ultimately. Otherwise, look at your testosterone levels. Being on TRT or having high tests will certainly change your ability to convert to reconstitute your body composition more in favor of lean mass. Okay, Nick Flynn is asking about MT2's libido increase, acting like a PD-5 inhibitor. Anything else going on in the background? So that's melatonin too, right? Yeah. I knew it was a dopamine mediated mechanism. It inhibits the CA2 dependent release of dopamine. See, that doesn't really make sense. MT2, protection drug abuse and cancer. Just trying to find out. I'll tell you what, that's very similar as far as I know to PT141 in terms of mechanisms of action. If I'm wrong about that, correct me in the comments section. But if that is the case, you're releasing hypothalamic dopamine, and that is why you have, better response to libido. Yeah, melanocortin receptors, which is, I believe, what MT2 is binding to, do release hypothalamic dopamine. All right, I'm just kind of doing this on the fly, so if I'm wrong on that, on mechanisms, then I apologize, but I'm pretty sure that's what the deal is. Brother. Post nut clarity. Thanks to you, I bought bovine thyroid. What does it do to you? Benefits. Energize, man. I take it every day. I won't not take it moving forward. Well, when I first started taking it, it felt like, I don't know. It felt like I just took a lot of teacrine or, kind of overdosed on caffeine. And I was like, all right, let me just kind of let that settle. And it definitely settled, into like pretty powerful energy that I really noticed, but it wasn't overpowering. And then that settled into just daily stable energy. So, it's an underrated supplement. I think that alone will change a lot of people's lives. I just don't want to sound like Tony Robbins, but honestly, that stuff's fucking powerful. Yeah. If you can get desiccated bovine thyroid tissue in a supplement, it'll almost definitely change your energy, right? As an estimation, 70% of people will benefit from that. 30 will have side effects or it won't affect them at all. Difference between injecting PT141 sub-Q versus intramuscular. So PT141 is typically dosed subcutaneously. If you injected it intramuscularly, I don't dispute that it may hit the system faster and may provoke the response of libido and erections and kind of that dopamine feeling a little faster. It's typically injected subcutaneously though, and maybe you'll get additional side effects like nausea and facial flushing, which happens with that stuff. I like PT141. I haven't used it in a while. It reminds me I should use it somewhat soon, I guess. I have some. But I get some flushing and I get a little nauseous after dosing it. But yeah, give it a shot. Google around. I honestly haven't looked into it, so I can't really definitively tell you what the deal is. Guys, my loss is your gain right now. This stack is buy one, get one free. All right, I got the tap on the shoulder that I've got to move some product, okay, for new inventory coming up. Focus and flow and stimulation in a bottle, boys. Look at the brain on it, all right? That's the code. The codes are in the description of this video. You get it. You get BOGO right now. Okay, so you add a bottle to your cart, you enter that code, cortexbogo, it tacks another bottle for free onto your order. You're literally getting a free bottle of one of the most powerful stimulant nootropics that I built, boys. livecortex.com. Rack poll. Intro workout drinks help me significantly to push the latter sets in a workout. 20 grams of carbs from something like Carbolin and 10 grams of EE is plenty. Intro workout drinks. Intro workout drinks? I'm not sure what you're referring to there, but yeah, sure, I could take a pre-workout or whatever, but regardless, based on, the test that I've got at the moment in the picture, I'm not taking anything else anabolic. The TB-500 that I am dosing is helping me to recover a little quicker at the gym. It's just a little quicker. Yeah. And I've interestingly got enhancement of erectile quality, which I fucking really got to look into, man. Like, it's probably doing some angiogenic stuff in penile tissue, which no one fucking talks about. So I'm happy to discuss that. Regarding 5-alpha reductase, there's one way that you could increase these theoretically. There's a paper on this, and the connection is not entirely conclusive, but it looks pretty good, and that's by taking glycine. I would run 3 grams of glycine every night. It'll help you sleep better as well, and as a result, you'll probably increase the 5-alpha reductase enzymes. Otherwise, if you dosed some HCG in high amounts without test, because ultimately that's going to stimulate estradiol, which is a huge problem in people that have PFS because the aromatization pathway is effectively upregulated via the reduction of test to DHT pathway being downregulated. This is why people like Kevin Mann are so fucking ridiculous, that Hair Cafe guy. There's literature on this. It's like fucking pretty clear. It's very clear. The pathway for aromatization upregulates when you inhibit 5-alpha reductase. So HCG may help stimulate some of that. Glycine for sure. Otherwise, ultimately, what you probably want to do is either get on some test cream with glycine, and that will help you to make more DHT because that stuff converts more. Apply it extra scrotally, and then kind of see how you fare. As far as symptom resolution, the only things on the sexual side that really tend to work, TRT, HCG, estrogen control has worked, but more often than not, you got to get a DHT derivative in the picture. Rack poll, does the rebound effect from Arimidex only occur if there is still enough testosterone substrate to aromatize estrogen in a higher? This is a good question. I think the extent to which it's annoying has to do with how much testosterone you still have around to convert to estradiol. Yeah. Regardless, though, I mean, yeah, it's a hard one. Like, it depends on what your blood levels of test are at the 50-hour mark. Really, the 100-hour mark ultimately is when it's really out of your system. I mean, the half-life just means 50% is out of the blood. There's still aromatase inhibition activity happening at that level, but yeah, man. I mean, it also depends on whether or not you're running a long or short ester. Like if you're running cypionate, then that cypionate's still going to be, in your blood and shit by the time this half-life's out. And that's what most people are running. And so they get a rebound of estrogen when, they stop taking an AI or something. And ultimately you probably got to lower your dose or bring a DHT derivative or something in there. But yeah, I mean, whereas if you're running prop or if you're running cream and you just, on that rebound, you just take a day off of injecting or applying, you really won't have much of an estrogen rebound, in my opinion. I'll tell you what though, like the more you batter the estradiol down, the more that rebound's going to be. Like when I was running 160 of SIP. This is like a year and some time ago. And 250 IU-HCG every day. I would take 0.125 and it'd take me down 10 whole points on estradiol. So I remember letting it go and estradiol got to about 55 and then 45 a week later and then 35 a week later. And so in that case, because it's dropping 10 fucking points, the rebounds were significant. I ultimately had to lower my dose at that point. But that's what I'd have to say about that, brother. Dar Fitness, what's the link between vitamin D and dopamine? I'm not that versed on that, actually. Vitamin D substance, I feel pretty great with that, and I don't. What could be the mechanism? Hard to say. I'd have to look into, the neurotransmitter interplay, especially dopamine. But, I mean, vitamin, I take 6,000 IU every day of vitamin D, every single day. I love the stuff. I just, I think having adequate levels is almost like you're pushing bare minimum. You want to be 70, 80 nanograms per deciliter on the vitamin D scale. Lewis, what would you say 10 milligrams test prop plus 25 milligrams per viron a day is enough to get DHT and free testosterone on the top of the range, keeping you too low? Well, it depends on the person. I have a client who ran, was he running either 10 or 15 initially? No, I think it was 15 milligrams prop. Total test went above the range, meaning greater than 1,500. Okay. Estradiol was at like 80. So, it depends, bro. Depends, man. Prop is a powerful drug, dude. I don't respond to it that way at all. At 10 milligrams a day of prop, I'd probably be 600-700 or something. Maybe 800, nothing crazy. But, yeah, I mean, look, Proviron is going to stop the SHBG from binding a good degree of your free testosterone and also DHT. So you'll have free DHT that will be able to activate androgen receptors and give you androgenicity specifically. Not that Proviron is an anabolic, because it actually is, but Proviron is much more like if you are on a test cycle or you're on some Anavar and you have some pretty good gains and you go off it because you inevitably got to go off high doses of test or high doses of Anavar period. Using Proviron with, a modest test dose, you'll probably be able to keep most of your gains. So it's not super anabolic, but you will retain gains. Your fucking jawline's going to change. You're going to feel a hell of a lot more masculine and manly with Proviron or any DHT derivative for that matter. So yeah, I think, you gotta run that and test your labs ultimately. I think E2 will peak with this 10 milligrams of prop that day, and then it'll start troughing later on that day. I think the estradiol is probably going to be fine. And then, with Proviron, you are inhibiting aromatase to with less affinity to a milder degree than an AI, but a stronger degree than like the estrogen lowering capacity of calcium D-glucarate, as an example. So, hope that helps, brother. So I'm still on testosterone enanthate, 112 milligrams a week. I'm injecting that shallow intramuscular every day. Ventroglutar Delt. I'm running 500 IU HCG every third day, sometimes just twice a week. That all depends. Too much HCG will push the estrogen above range for me, or above the sexual sweet spot range. So I've got to monitor that and engage. But I'm pretty close to changing. You know, I feel fine on it. You know, I've dialed in. I feel good. The sexual function's good. And so I've got some Anavar coming in. I have Proviron that is literally here at my house. And so I just like to change shit. And so that's like where I'm at. I'll probably keep running along Esther for now, just because, you know, it's fine, but I'll add in, I think I'm going to add in some Anavar and see how, you know, particularly what that does to animalism, because I'm on a relatively low dose of TAS. I mean, 110 milligrams a week, let's call it, is not a fucking high dose of TAS. It's somewhat anabolic, but I'm not, you know, I've been on 160, 180, 210. I was much more anabolic and looked a lot more fuller. Now, like, I've built muscle, so muscle doesn't go away, but like androgens, you know, I'll tell you what, dude, if you put 4 pumps of cream on the testicles, 2 in the morning, 2 at night, or 3 in the morning, 1 at night, you do that for 3 fucking days, you're going to start looking saucy. You're going to start looking fucking saucy, bro, because that shit peaks your testosterone very high, very quickly. And the androgen receptors up here in your shoulders, man, are going to note, you're going to notice, you're going to look fuller and saucy like you're on a fucking cycle, dude. So, you know, being at 112 milligrams a week, although I've built muscle and I go to the gym every day, I'm certainly not as full as I was on higher stuff. So, you know, I've got Anavar coming in, and I'm, you know, for a variety of reasons, and I'll see if that changes the game, brother. B6. So B6 toxicity, there's no such thing as B6 toxicity unless you're pushing the LD50. It's a myth perpetuated by people on the internet, mainly YouTubers. The literature on this has pointed out or found the cause of neuropathy-like symptoms on high doses of P5P or B6, and it is a GABA deficiency. That's what it is. That's literally what it is. It's via, you know, an underage of GABAergic signaling that people, when they take excess doses of B6, have neuropathy-like symptoms. So the B6, you got 100 milligram tabs. Is that P5P or is that B6? That sounds like P5P to me. But ultimately, if you don't have a GABA deficiency, you're not going to have problems with modest doses of it. Don't let the scare tactic people who, you know, post scare tactic shit to get views, and it helps. Their channels grow, but they're bullshitting half the time. Sway you. Swisher swish. Difference in effects of phenylparastam versus hydrazide. Not a whole lot. Hydrazide just onsets quicker. Yeah, and feels a little more dopaminergic, but that's probably just because it's onsetting quicker. That's all. You got to take less of it compared to phenylparacetam, which has been very difficult to even find for 2 years now. So hydrazide's where it's at right now, brother. Dark Fitness agrees. So when I got vitamin D level up to 75, yeah, around the 2020 scam, I felt like a fucking god. I was training 2-3x per day and felt fucking amazing. Yeah, bro. Yeah, and also vitamin D is very critical for what happened in 2020. And COVID itself is not a scam though. And by the way, I'm a conservative. I fucking, you know, hope Trump wins and I hope we get our economy back. But I got COVID and I had longer term negatives from it, and my fucking blood showed it. My immune markers showed it. Like crazy shit that no one ever talks about or that I don't fucking talk about here. Like, yeah, I had immune markers that were fucking skewed and I had symptoms for a while. So there's no scam about it. Probably the scam though is, you know, telling people that it's safe to get the you-know-what, which we fucking know it isn't. You know, it not for everybody. You know, there are serious fucking problems, not the least of which are people that are fucking dead from taking that goddamn thing. So I'd be balanced, brother. Swisher swish. Ordering nootropics directly from China. Well, I don't know, man. I used to. These days, I don't take as many nootropics as I used to, so I don't, you know, buy bulk from there anymore. I'll just go to a nootropic source and get whatever I need ultimately. But yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, dude, if you got regimens that, you know, you've dialed in or targeted, or you're experimenting with stuff to try to figure out what works well for you, then, you know, you're going to experiment a lot. You're probably going to have a lot of side effects. You're going to have shit that doesn't work the way that you want it to. You're going to have to dial in your doses. But if you're doing that much experimentation, then yeah, buying bulk powder from vendors on Alibaba. that have racetams. Yeah, they do. They have it. They email me every day just because the industry that I'm in. Hey, we got bulk, whatever, you know, and I just don't get it much anymore because I take less nootropics these days than I used to. And you know, I just would kind of rather whatever. I didn't really like dealing with big bulk of aniracetam at once. It was just kind of a pain in the butt. And I just sat there. I didn't dose all of it. Like after a year, it'd still have some kind of go bad. Greetings. Yeah. I would say get your hands on some P5P and just dose that in 100 milligrams. That's what I would do. Oh, the jab. Yeah. 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 And now people are being sued, you know, from forcing workers to do it. And like they're being forced to rehire the work. It was a really fucking weird time, man. You know, Fauci is now being grilled in various Senate hearings, and that's how it should be. Everybody knew that there was some degree of, well, I mean, at the very least, call it an excessive response from the government, right? But you know, now we're just coming to learn a lot of the stuff that a good degree of the public with any degree of EQ, forget about IQ, right? Because IQ people that tend to say that they're highly educated and whatever tend to miss a lot of shit and be, you know, I don't know, excessively logical, but ultimately not even quite fucking logical. Like these guys have zero emotional quotient or intuition. Anybody with any degree of intuition knew a number of different things very early on. Number one, you know, the origination story was probably bullshit. Number two, this thing that they wanted everyone to get was not tested well enough. We all knew that. So, you know, here we fucking are. Hopefully, you know, hopefully we never let something like that happen again in the States. I don't think people will put up with it. Pretty fucking crazy. But that's what you get. That's what you get when you're funding shit like this. You know, when you're funding shit like this, dangerous fucking shit, you know, and ultimately it fucking escapes. That's probably what happened. All right, Preston, do you think it's important to use a syringe filter when I don't? I read somewhere tiny glass shards get in the solution when you break the ampoule. No, I've not. I've heard of that too, but you know, I'm pretty analytical about everything that I put in my body. When I ran cerebral lysin, I looked at it was a one inch needle, a 3 milliliter syringe. I fucking looked at it very carefully, you know, and did not see anything, and I ended up being fine. So, you know, I mean, if it makes you feel better, sure, you know, use a filter. If it makes you feel better, use a filter, sure. But, you know, typically those, if you open the ampule correctly, which is like, you know, you hold it away from you and you grab like a towel or something, wrap it around the top of the ampule and crack away from you, you get a very clean break of that ampule. And so, you know, there's unlikely to be small pieces of glass in there. But if it makes you feel better, all you, brother. Jordan G. Unit, I ran 160 milligrams test sip a week, 1,000 IU. HCG, 25 milligrams Anavar. All the way it makes me feel. 50 milligrams next round. Also doing 60 milligrams Nandrolone. Nice. Small dose to give the joints benefits. Interesting. I'm wondering if your prolactin's going up from that, but maybe it doesn't. Or no, that's DECA. I don't know if Nandrolone actually does that. Cool. Yeah, be careful. Just be careful with 50 milligrams. And I would watch Vigorous Steve's video titled "That Time I Almost Had a Heart Attack," where he talks about having angina from running 50 milligrams Anavar. If you're getting UGL Anavar, it's probably not as strong. But if you're running fucking 50 you know, if you're getting pharmaceutical grade oxandrolone, then you probably don't want to run 50 milligrams. You're gonna, you know, it's just generally unhealthy to do that. But who knows? You know, test it or whatever. And go from there. I'm probably gonna, like, I've got oxandrolone coming in Monday, so I'm gonna run a steroid cycle. I'm gonna run a cycle of oxandrolone. You know, unless it fucks with my libido, in which case it's right out. The moment anything fucks with my libido, I'm done with it. But I'll be running that probably this coming week. And you know, quite honestly, I'm probably going to start at something very modest, 10 to 15 milligrams a day, and just kind of go from there, monitor lipids specifically. But your boy will be running an actual steroid cycle coming soon. But I'm glad you're having benefits. Me, I'm at a low dose of test right now, so I'm not very anabolic. So I've got Anavar coming in. I've got some ipamorelin coming in. So there's things I'm going to be fussing with that will give me some pretty good content on the channel. DJ Milling got the jab, regrets it. Hard one about long-term damage, man. I have clients that have long COVID, you know, from it and from COVID. So it's a difficult one. I mean, the first thing you should probably start doing is increasing your bifidobacteria gut species, because they're histamine degrading species and they get knocked out in the case of both of these situations, as far as I know, which means that a lot of the symptoms that you have, which are histamine related, can just prevail with no microbiota control over histamine function. You know, I mean, if you have symptoms, then you probably want to look into mast cell activation syndrome, because the mast cells get overactivated in both of these cases, whether it's from the thing or the thing, and try to get to the bottom of that. There you have, at least from the histamine's perspective and the mast cell's perspective, a mechanism to treat. You're also going to have skewed immune system biomarkers. I forget what they are off the top of my head, but I have them. God, it was like fucking CD4 cells and CD8 cells were markedly elevated. God, what the fuck else was it? Yeah, there were just some immune markers that were completely out of fucking whack, dude. And I felt it. I did not feel good, but I had to replenish bifido species. I had to move to a Mediterranean diet for a while, cut out booze completely, cut out caffeine for a period. And then all the run-of-the-mill stuff that, you should be taking with that, including NAC. But ultimately, if you want, the one drug that was super demonized will help you a lot in these cases. And I'm sure you guys know exactly what I mean. Unfortunate that I can't even fucking say it. Lotfi, can Proviron be used as an as-needed basis? This stuff is expensive. Yeah. Yes, I'll tell you this, I ran Proviron for a brief period. It overstimulated me because my testos was way too high. I'm sensitive to shit, man. My brain works so good. If stuff's too much, then I'll be overstimulated. But I'll tell you what, 25 of Proviron, by the end of the day, I'd be insatiably horny and fucking I'd have 25-year-old erections, 18-year-old erections, just random erections. So it's very androgenic, man. So, if you were to run 25 milligrams with TRT, for 2 days, you'd probably be at your peak in sexual function. And then that would taper off, within 24 hours or 48. I mean, that stuff just filters out of the system and you're out. But yeah, there is no libido and erectile function like Proviron, it's very, very, very powerful. And it's not just because of inhibiting estradiol to some extent or freeing up free testosterone. You can do all that with injections, man. It's the fucking DHT binding. It's the androgen receptor binding and the duration of action at the androgen receptor, which is a lot longer than testosterone. DHT Proviron also modifies binding domains on the AR, which make the genetic activity after androgens bind to it much more pronounced. So the stuff is fucking powerful. But yeah, as needed, you probably want to run it for 2 days and then you'll get the max benefits in terms of libido and stuff. Erectile quality. You might even start shedding within those 2 days. It's very powerful stuff, man. It's basically as close to real DHT as you can get. All right, $20 super chat from SNC Nutrition. Best hair loss protocol. Topical better than Purell? Oral. 80 milligrams test sip Monday and Thursday. Okay, you're taking DIM, blah, 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 and you got your pharma grade Anavar. 10 milligrams sublingual pre-workout. Switching to sip to enanthate is better. So, the switching from sip to enanthate, better results? Not really, no. I mean, it's very similar. The way that I feel on low dose enanthate versus low dose sip is about the same, about the same. So it's, some people, though, oddly, will just get a better response from enanthate versus sipinate. So, you got to see. But, running Anavar, you're likely to have a degree of shedding just via the fact that it's a DHT derivative. And so, even though, in skeletal tissue and muscle tissue, the way that it modifies the androgen receptor to make you more anabolic really shouldn't lend itself to more hair loss, but it does after a while for people. It's a lot more forgiving than, Andrectum, which is DHT cream, or Proviron. It's a lot more forgiving than those chemicals regarding, hair stuff. But ultimately, you probably want to look into TB-500. Okay, the research on this is actually pretty clear that it's studied for hair growth and is pretty effective for hair growth. If you take 500 or so milligrams flush niacin, real niacin, not the non-flush stuff, but flush niacin, you're enhancing blood flow to the scalp, which will prevent some of the hair loss that you may get on, running a cycle of test or with some DHT derivatives in there. You're only running 160 milligrams a week of test sips, so that's pretty good, pretty okay. And your Anavar, if you're running 10 milligrams sublingual, that's not that bad for hair loss. You should ultimately be okay. I wouldn't lose hair on that. Yeah. I mean, I got the greatest hair genetics. I'm very lucky because I've been on high doses of TAS. I've had super fucking high DHT, and I've made a little shedding when I was on cream with DHT being super fucking high, but nothing crazy. So that wouldn't do anything to my hair, so yeah, so there's that. What else did I recently learn was pretty effective? So yeah, medium dose niacin, flush niacin, TB-500, look into it. That's something that I think in a year's time, 2 years time, people are going to be on Reddit going, this shit made me regrow my hair. So you probably want to look into that. Experience with ipamorelin. Nope, but I do have some coming in. It's, apparently though, you got to be stacking it with other compounds that, extend the duration of the pulse of growth hormone from the pituitary. But I think ipamorelin in and of itself mechanistically will be effective for gaining, a little bit of muscle, just making it easier to recover, probably enhancing libido, erectile function for people, maybe sleeping a little better, having a fuller look to you. So yeah, I have ipamorelin that will be here literally Monday or Tuesday. But I'm probably going to run the Anavar that I've got coming then as well. All right. Nice to see you too, brother. Yeah, I figured that's what you meant. Brother. New in my stack. TB-500. That's honestly like the thing that I have been taking that's different. Yep, TB-500. I fucking like it, man. I like how it feels. I got to put this back in the fridge, but I brought it down here just to show you guys. I like that it makes me feel as if I can go back to my set doing chest or whatever at the gym a little faster than usual. Like I just have to take less of a break and I still feel fucking great and energized and can push harder. I had a wound just from a weird accident that healed fucking rapidly. That shit does not happen. That'll heal normally. But with TB-500, the shit healed in a day and a half. It would have taken 7 days to fully fucking heal. It didn't fully heal, but it closed up. I had this wound. I cut myself open a little bit. This wound closed up in a day and a half taking TB-500. So is it TB-500, which has wound healing acceleration properties? Probably, bro. That's what's new in my stack. Nootropic wise, not a whole lot. I think I ran modafinil Monday. I had a lot of shit going on Monday, so I ran some modafinil, some Mucuna purines Tuesday, because that's always a way to not have a modafinil hangover. So I ran a little Mucuna on Tuesday. No nootropics in between though. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, no nootropics. Today I'm kayaking with a girl that I'm dating and doing dinner later, so I probably won't run nootropics today. So yeah, that's it. These days I take a lot less nootropics than I used to, for sure. I still love them, and I just took modafinil fucking Monday. But and if I build any more courses or need to do high degrees of brain work, I'll be taking racetam for that. But I'd say I've had because of TRT and generally feeling fucking incredible. I've had like a 40%, 50% reduction in nootropic usage over the last 2 years. Still use them. They're still awesome, but I don't rely on them like I used to. Have other things that are, making me feel better. Dosing on TB-500 is 1 milligram a week, 500 micrograms split into 2 injections, Monday and Thursday sub-Q. That's it. It's a relatively low dose, all things considered. But I'm noticing benefits from it already. Again, I had a wound. I cut myself open. I had a fucking accidental stupid wound that would have taken 7 days to close up, 6-7 days to close up in a day and a half. Placebo? This stuff is for wound healing. These peptides, BPC, TB-500, they fucking work, man. They fucking work. And if you look into them mechanistically, it's like with TB-500, you're recruiting mast cells, which, do a bunch of reparative work and you're rapidly optimizing endothelial function, which is going to facilitate better blood flow. So you're probably getting blood flow and nutrients to the site where you have a wound, and that's what's helping it heal. So mechanistically, it actually makes a lot of sense. It's been one of the best things I've tried in quite some time. I'm very happy with it. I got to get it back in the fridge though, super soon. I'm running ipamorelin coming soon, but probably after I trial some Anavar. Your boy is going to be on a legit steroid cycle coming soon. That's gonna be like low dose Anavar. I just want to see what the benefits are. Post nut clarity. Why do I feel less libido on Proviron? Maybe taking estradiol a little too low. That could be why. Yep, that could be why. What in conjunction with what though? What is your otherwise protocol here? Like what else is going on? Like, are you on TRT? And what's your dose? Are you on an AI? What's your dose? Are you on HCG? What's your dose? All that stuff matters here. Proviron, 12.5 on top of a modest dose of TRT will probably give you a little bit of libido gains and erection gains. The gains, but it will. I tell you what, you'll get more masculinizing effects, virilization type stuff, jawline, confidence, like just you feel like a fucking stoic, stone cold killer all the time. On 12.5, but you'll get less of the sexual benefits. When you get to 25 milligrams a day, forget it, dude. The sexual benefits start fucking pouring in, and it is crazy. Yeah, but you'll hear this over and over again, and I experienced this when I ran DHT, and I hear it over and over, or when I ran Proviron, and I hear it over and over in clients. The masculinization characteristics of Proviron are fucking worth it alone. You're just walking around like a stone cold killer all the time. It's really cool. So yeah, I don't know what your TRT protocol is, but you probably want to bump that up to 25 milligrams a day if you can tolerate it. Some people can't tolerate, high doses of test or even medium doses of test with Proviron via blood pressure and whatever else. But if you can tolerate 25 a day, just split up into 12.5, then you'll probably have, a much better response on libido. If you can tolerate 25 at once, you'll have a fucking significant response on libido and erections. Yeah, DHT, man. DHT is important for all those things. You starve yourself. It's just very clear. You starve yourself at DHT for long enough, and you go pretty low on the scale of DHT on the reference range, and you're gonna have lackluster erections. Libido is not going to be great. And whereas you get your DHT pretty high, you might have some shedding if you're prone to it, but the sexual system, you'll see how quickly you respond to how quickly the sexual system can be enlivened. Even when you think it's broken with DHT, it's fucking powerful. All right, boys, I'm going to end the stream. Great questions today. So this coming week, we got some content launching early in the week that it will be pretty influential and a pretty long piece of content relevant to DHT. So pay attention to that coming this week. It'll probably be later on in the week. In the meantime, guys, as I said, the biggest thing for you nootropics folks right now is that this is buy one, get one free. The Cortex Stack is a fast onsetting stimulant. Very fucking powerful, boys. Don't run out of it. Have it all the time. High potency stuff, guys. I built it myself for myself, and then I made it a stack. It's buy one, get one free right now. That's the code. The code is in the description of this video as well. This isn't going to last very long. I've got 300 bottles to move. They'll be gone in a matter of 4 or 5 days. So get on it now if you're thinking about it. Much more content coming this week. I appreciate the fact that you guys have been with me. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Happy Saturday, happy weekend, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Later.